welcome to Jack Dotson's Racing Insider News this week, presented by Papa John's. We got some good pizza here. Thanks to those guys. That's why we're.
Donna don't want none.
Got to thank our marketing partners. Got to thank NC811, GAC, Great American Company, Bondurant Brothers Distillery, Pepsi, our drink of choice, Pepsi and Mountain Dew, MPM Marketing, Factory Canopies. They made some nice chairs. We don't let Jack sit in them.
Yeah, they're all very comfortable.
And Black Acid Apparel. And I thank those guys for, if you want one shirt, 10 shirts, 1,000 shirts. Safety Clean and Performance Plus Motor Oil. Last but not least, Langley Speedway for giving us a place to broadcast. And with that, Jack.
All right, let's do the Smith's Wraps and Graphics weekend
What's up,
roundup.
Ron? John?
It was announced today that the Langley Banquet has been postponed until March the 5th.
Oh.
So I guess I'll be home this weekend.
Yeah, I know the Freeze were looking forward to it. We were talking about it this week. They got his first suit to wear down to the banquet.
They did the next gen test at Daytona this past weekend. Willie and the ARCA guys were at Daytona this past week. So that was a big deal. Also, Danny Bone got a new ride. He's going to be driving for Young's Racing in the Truck Series. How about the NASCAR penalty thing that they put out?
I was surprised.
That's pretty big stuff.
They're making it serious.
You're not going to play with them right now. No. I don't think.
Well, I think especially with this new car, because I think the tolerances are super tight with this new car.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not making your own control arms and designs, and it's all their design, and that's what you got to run. So I'm sure if you start playing around with them, it's going to be stiff.
Yeah. So what did Chocolate Meyer said today? He said, "I'd hate to be the fool that test that for the first time."
Somebody's going to do it.
Oh yeah, they're going to push the issue.
Yeah.
Are they going to? Is it somebody? I'd be curious if it's a bigger team that goes to a smaller team and says, "Hey."
I think that'll be what happens.
You know what I mean?
Somebody that'll pay the penalty for that.
Right. Yeah. They ain't got to worry about being in the chase or the playoffs or whatever, because they're not going to put that at risk.
I think it'll take some races, but I think innovation is going to be coming on this new car.
For sure.
Yeah. There's going to be some manufactured parts from the teams, things like that look very similar.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to really see the car in person. I mean, because, they're coilovers.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been big springs forever.
Yeah.
And then you have
rack and pinion steering. That's another big thing. That's a lot of things with drivers.
A lot. I mean, I don't know how exactly it works, how they're, being able to adjust wedge without a spanner wrench.
Right.
It's like this thing off the side of the coilover.
Yep.
So that's going to be pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff with a
little more technical than what we were used to in a long time.
Oh, for sure. And then, I mean, if you wreck it, you can just basically bolt snouts or whatever pieces on. I mean, it's.
Yeah, you figure they fixed that car. What was it?
Austin Dillon's car?
Yeah, Austin Dillon's car in the middle of the night.
30, 40. Wow. There was one that they fixed in 30, 45 minutes or something, but
they had to clip right back on that thing.
And the car seemed to do fairly well.
Yeah.
He does. John Pritt says this pizza wants you to know that it reminds him of truck stop pizza.
Oh, that was a rough. when you're in the middle of the night coming back up the road from Daytona and you're hungry, truck stop pizza's a little rough. Go with a different option.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to go.
3:00 in the morning truck stop pizza.
Yeah, right there inside Georgia.
Oh, that ain't good.
It was one bite and instant heartburn. It was the grossest thing I've ever eaten in my entire life.
What's up, Danny?
All right, they had the Hall of Fame inductions this past week. Dale Jr., Mike Stefanik, and Red Farmer. And did you watch it, Scott?
I didn't take any notes.
Because, you and Red Farmer have had some little issues with
We had Red Farmer on one time, right?
Yeah.
And before he came on, the day or two before, I didn't know who Red Farmer was, right?
What?
No, right.
Come on.
So I did some Googling, and I really didn't find anything. So I made the mistake of asking him why didn't he run more asphalt, because all I could find was dirt.
Dirt's what he's done since he retired.
He said, "Boy, next time I'm gonna send you a hero card so you can study before you interview me next time."
Yeah.
That was
I
one
was like, "What is he
that
talking
was one of
about?"
our earliest shows, and he got us good with that one.
I was hoping he was gonna send me a hero card like, "Scott, look at this next time you call or interview me."
They also had the Squire Hall induction, Bob Jenkins, the former ESPN, and I think he did a lot at Indy and everything back in the day. And then the landmark outstanding contribution went to Ralph Seagraves.
Don't know who that is.
You don't know who Ralph Seagraves is?
Mm-mm.
You know who Ralph
Is he-
Seagraves is?
Little bit.
Is he his old red farmer?
No, not that old.
No. He was. Let's just say he was part of the sponsorship thing back in the day with NASCAR and everything. He was involved in all that with Winston and all kinds
That's
of.
the big hat guy that used to did Victory Lane.
No, that was a different guy.
That's Bill Broderick.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right, and then I also want to announce that there's a fundraiser on February the 13th for Davey Millard. It's a bowling tournament, so we'd like to have everybody come out and support Davey and help raise some funds for him. Hopefully, we hopefully get him back with us real soon. And
Yeah, I gotta figure out see if I can get me a team. If anybody's willing to bowl with me. I mean, I look good. The ball don't do very
see,
well.
I was getting ready to ask him did he want to form a team and go, but now he done made that comment.
That could
I
be
might
rough.
find me somebody else.
That could be
It's
rough.
all for a good cause.
So anyway, that's our Smith's Wraps and Graphics weekend roundup. And now we got, my hero, Willie Mullen.
Yeah.
One of my heroes.
How many nicknames you got? You got Big Willie. I mean,
I get called a lot of things in life.
No, but not
and
what
you
Dinah
can't
calls
repeat.
whatever.
Yeah. It's one of those things. I answer to pretty much anything, so I just roll with it.
Well, give us an overview of Daytona, your test down in Daytona. You did extremely well down there, and some of the guys that you had tested with you did well.
Yeah, absolutely. We went down there with 2 cars. We take a bunch of testers in my second car, my backup car, which that was the car that I finished second with 2018. So
you don't let them get in your car?
no, my primary car is my car. That's something we have spent a lot of time polishing on.
So the other one's like up for bid.
It is. It is. Unfortunately, that's how it is. But that car was a really good car. We found out this year that car actually started its life out as Dale Jarrett's car. In the first year, it finished 12th to 13th at Daytona with him. So it's been around since 2006 or 7. So that car's been around a long time. It had a lot of drivers through it. So it's worked out well. We took everybody down there and we had a great test. I mean, it's hard to put together a good group of kids, but this year we had a good group. They all did everything we told them to do, and they all showed on the speed chart.
And I mean, it looked like with Blake and of course with Brayton. I mean, he seemed to be the fast one out there at that point. But with Blake and everybody else, Logan, everybody else, I mean, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was great. Blake did good, Brad did good, and we had Cole and Logan. Everybody kept the fenders on it. We didn't have to worry about Cole running over anybody for once. So it was a good test, and we're proud of what we brought as a product, and we're also proud of the people we brought. And that's what showed up on the speed chart.
So you take 2 cars up there, nobody touches yours. The black number 3.
That's right.
I like that black number 3.
Thank you.
I heard somebody else didn't like it.
The wife, she's not on the Dale train like a lot of people. But it was one of those things. We put it on there for the test because that's when we get to do a throwback kind of for us. We don't get to run Salem much to do throwback cars. So I did that and we had some fun and we got a lot of Twitter people on there talking about it. And there's always a controversy around that number on a black car.
Yep, sure.
So we didn't have any problems, let's say. So it worked out well, and I enjoyed it. I had fun.
No cease and desist letter yet.
Yes.
We expected one.
I don't think you'll get one.
No, I think we
Listen,
had
if
fun.
we get one, we would frame it.
Yeah.
Right.
But what kind of changes was in store for ARCA this coming year with the big series? I mean, with the one with Daytona and all those. But
I don't foresee any big changes. The biggest thing is we want to make sure we have drivers to help support the series. it's no different than a local track here. We need our drivers, we need our fans to help support this series to keep it going. Especially John Menard. John Menard is the driving force behind the Menard series, and without him and his business model and how he rolls it into the ARCA series, we wouldn't have a series. So that's where the series is going to go over the next couple of years. The good thing about a change that's coming is these NASCAR Cup cars are coming out of rotation. We were talking about the new car.
Right.
So now we can start using the Gen 5 chassis in our ARCA series.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So these cars already have bigger greenhouses and things like that. Yes, we're going to have to put different snouts on them, things like that. But it will help generate more cars over the next 5 years, we're hoping. So that's one of the big changes that's coming.
So how many you gonna get pick up and bring up every year?
The wife puts me on lockdown when it comes to spending money. So we're trying to maybe purchase a little bit better equipment over the next year. We've got a new motor this year, so we have a little bit of inventory. We're hoping that we have some more kids come back and want to run some short track races with us or Talladega. So we're hoping to see how that all plays out.
Now you got Brayton is going to be in your other car for Daytona.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about him, because he's going to be on the show in a few minutes. But tell us a little bit about him and what you saw in him.
Well, it's one of those things. When we go to the test, we don't know what we're going to get. So we got down there, and Brayton got in the car and was able to go, get it out of the garage area and get on track and listen to our spotter. He took direction very well. He's very calculated in what he's doing. So it was one of those things. It was an easy fit for us. He came to us and said he wanted to continue the relationship. So we decided to bring him onto the race, and hopefully we can have good results. We're going to give him the best car we can give him. And that car should be obviously it's finished second, plenty of eighths. So we got a good top 10 car there.
Can you take the same car that you're going to run Daytona with and go to New Smyrna and race?
Absolutely not. No.
So this car that he's driving, he can't take it over there and race it.
Correct.
So and that's the reason why we have the other car. I keep getting I'm watching her to see if I'm going to say something wrong.
No. You're watching me to make sure he's saying the right things, because he can lie better than anyone ever met. So.
No, but I'm saying that you got a car for the new Smyrna.
Absolutely. We have a short track car that we're building. We're building a new car for this year. That car's nowhere near being ready. So we're actually having to take an old backup car that we had sitting in the corner since Pocono 2016, I think. We're taking our intermediate car, changing it over to short track car to run New Smyrna. So that's the good thing about the composite body. There is some changing between tracks. Now, when you go to super speedways and you want to have a good car and be fast, that's a car you work on. The chassis are different. The bodies are hung a little different. So yes, you can use a car in different places. It depends on how competitive you want to be. And if you want to run it at the top, you got to have a super speedway car. You got to have a short track car, and you got to have an intermediate car. And that's what we have. So, we have the gamut so we can compete where we want to.
This is probably better than what you had in the past as far as numbers and equipment and everything that you had. This is
Absolutely. This new super speedway car is a GMS car we bought last year. And that car has a pedigree, came from MDM. Sheldon Creed actually pushed me to second place that year in that car. So then, then it had Brandon McReynolds in it the next year. He wrecked it. Then David Gravel was in it, and he lost the door off of it that year. So it's one of those things that car has a good pedigree, and that's why we went after it when the team unfortunately couldn't continue. So we got a good car, and we're very proud of what we have.
Will the Gen 5 car, if I'm saying it right, one is getting ready to come, will that car be able to run all three tracks?
Yeah, you'll be able to use that car because
it won't be a big difference between the Speedway car and
it will be a little bit, but your Gen 5 car is just the chassis we're using. The bodies will get cut off of them.
Okay.
So you're going to use the chassis is what they're talking about when they talk about bringing the Gen 5. They've made these bodies universal, so they'll fit the old chassis and the new chassis. So that's how the ARCA series is going to be able to absorb these chassis. There is going to be some expense switching them over.
Sure.
But you don't have to go buy a $10,000 or $12,000 KBM chassis. You can go buy an old Cup car for $1,500, $2,000, something like that. Put a snout on it, do some things with the tin work, and then put a new body on it, and you got a decent piece.
So the chassis will be different from a short track to a speedway. Those things are
To
still
a point, your intermediate and your short tracks are very similar cars.
Okay.
It's more in the location of how the body's hung.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So what, I don't know if I've asked you this question before, and I may have.
Mhm.
What makes you so good on the super speedways?
His
I mean,
wife.
I think it's just.
Honestly, you're
I'm decent. I'm not going to say I'm a good driver. I think I have luck. And then a lot of times, if we don't qualify in the top 4 or 5, I like to ride at the back for 3/4 of the race. Keep the fenders on it. Most of these kids are going to go up there and knock all the fenders off of it. And then it was just a battle of attrition that year we finished second. We sat in that car on the back straightaway twice for 2 hours. That race, people don't remember, that race was 6.5 hours long.
Mm.
I remember something about that.
Yeah. I mean, people were tuning in to watch the Busch Clash. Well, we were still racing, and they've changed it now. We only get 2 green and white checkers. But it's one of those things. Keep the fenders on it with 5 to go, and I think you can go from 10th to 1st without a problem as long as you got a good car.
How many hours do you spend massaging on your car? I mean,
He might not be able to answer this.
No, I can't honestly.
I mean, do you? Okay, I see something here. We might be able to do something a little different.
Absolutely, yeah. We're constantly doing things within the gray part of the rule book. There's track owners, unfortunately, that think we're supposed to operate inside the rule book. There's always the gray area, and that's what we're here to do as race car drivers. If we don't work on the gray area, we're just here to ride around it. We're here to get our hands slapped a little bit every once in a while. That's what racers do.
Well, as long as you don't let David Callahan get his hands on it.
I don't know. Dave's a good guy. I mean, he's gotten tore down a couple times at White Oak Speedway. Let's put it that way.
So that's pretty cool. I'm glad you didn't take him with you up there this time.
No, unfortunately, it's cool that he's building a new house. He's trying to. I think Dominion paid so much last year for those 2 late model wins. He was able to pay cash for a new house.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that's what it was.
He's got it going on.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah. 2 wins and that Dominion paid for a new house.
Man. Oh, I knew I'd get him on here. He got so good at driving speedways by racing me in carts.
Now, after you finished second, did you have more people that was willing to work with you?
Yeah, I mean,
the next year,
it's funny you say that. We finished 8th the first year, and then Robert Bruce just pops up out of nowhere. I mean, he starts coming around, and we started getting a lot of people, believe it or not, that believed in us then.
Mm-hmm.
It was luck the first time we went there and finished 8th. I was green. I knew nothing, nothing about Speedway. And we had a good crew chief, Andy Belmont, and just pretty much guided us along, and got us there. And then, Frank Kimmel helped me a lot. So it was a lot of little things that I paid attention to and just kept the fenders on it.
That first year, we owe a lot to Frank Kimmel. He decided to drop to the back and ask Willie to go with him. And Frank is really the reason that first year went so well.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to ask, because Frank has run really well at Daytona and Talladega a lot. I don't know how many races he's won, but I know he's ran really, really well up there. What kind of advice did he give you?
Well, it was one of those things. He said, just don't make quick movements. You're going to treat it like you're driving down the interstate. Don't yank the wheel, because you can actually get up against somebody down there at Daytona and lay against them and feel them if you turn the steering wheel slow. If you go in there and just hammer it down to the corner,
like a short track,
and it's going to turn you around backwards and tear some cars up. And so that was one of the things he taught me. Feel it. Make sure you feel how the thing's moving, who's underneath you, things like that. So and then concentration was the biggest thing. You got to concentrate every lap.
Yeah, because imagine, I did a ride along down there, so I can imagine how, you're like, going down the straightaways because it's so long, so I can imagine it can get boring in a way, especially somebody like me with a little ADD, and I'm like.
The biggest thing is, like you're up under a car. That car's up under another car. And all you really see is their rear spoiler, the top of the rear glass, and the yellow line. That's all you see. So believe it or not, it's just like driving down behind a tractor trailer. Run up underneath the tractor trailer and sit there. And that's what it's like for 80 laps. And then things start moving around. people start getting sideways, cars start getting free, you know, things like that during the race. So that's when the action starts picking up. You know, so you got to hold a straight wheel and keep that thing on the yellow line the whole time.
So what are you preaching to these new kids that have never been out there for the first time?
You know, it's just listen, learn, you know, watch tapes. We got Jesse that's going to help Brayton. Jesse's a really good spotter. So we've been able to get him audio tapes, things like that, to listen to different spotter communications. You know, the biggest thing is you got to be able to feel the air and how it's going to affect the car as a line's getting past you or getting a run. Because they'll use the nose of that car to put up near your door to suck the air out of the cowl, you know, and it pulls you back. That's that side draft. So the side draft does two different things. It packs the wheel well on your right side full. And then once you get up to that door, it helps create that bubble over their cowl and helps suck them back. And you got to be able to get the timing to get around them, you know, to help really the car.
When you get here, do you pull off?
You want to come in like you're going to door check them and then drive away. You know, and it pulls them back enough that you can, if you're good enough, you can get a run and get another spot.
Yeah, I think that's where some people don't realize you're not really going any faster. You're just slowing them down a bit.
You're taking 100 RPM off of them. You know, we're not talking 1,000 RPM. We're talking 150 that you're trying to gain, and it pulls them back that much.
Now, what do you do when somebody's trying to do that to you?
You try to get it away from them. You know, you try to, there's really not a lot you can do, but if you're in a line and you try to keep with the car in front of you, so the momentum stays. You know, the bottom's always been the best place there for our series because of the aero package. They have a lot of downforce built in these cars, so it helps slow them up. Okay. Because you figure
so then the outside doesn't get momentum like it does in the Cup cars.
Correct. But the new Cup car ran a 48.7, 48.8 there, and we were at a 48.7, 48.8 there too also. So the ARCA car is the same speed as the new Cup car right now. Now, Cup cars will pick up a lot more speed in the pack compared to the ARCA cars. I think we'll run a 47.9, 48 flat, something like that in a big pack.
Yeah, because I mean their horsepower. I mean, what do y'all are at?
We're at 400.
Okay. Well, they're at 750.
Well, no, they're still restrictor plated down.
Oh,
I think they're 450, 500.
Oh, are they down?
Yeah, the biggest thing is they want to keep those cars under the 45 second, 46 second bracket because at that you're going 200 miles an hour, and when they turn around backwards, roof flaps don't work. You know, once you get over 200, it really gets sketchy. Yeah. So it really it works. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, how much? You said when you finished eighth down there, you didn't know what you were.
No clue.
But I mean, how much when you go out there? How much practice do you practice with the breaking the drafts and doing the drafting and everything? Do you spend a lot of time doing it? Now I see a lot of guys don't do it. They don't want to.
Honestly, it's usually we do a lot of practicing driving down 95. You know, with my wife in the right seat, and if she's screaming at me, telling me not to do that, then it's about right.
Jesse Vaughn wants to know how many cars are going to be down there.
We're hoping, looking, they may send one or two home. So 40 to 42 cars. You know, it's going to be a bigger field than we've had in a long time. A lot of guys are putting cars together. Cars are starting to come together because of that Gen 5 chassis and things like that. So we'll see what happens.
It'd be cool to see more cars come down there. Now, you and I were talking. We were talking earlier about these kids coming in and how you go through and have a dinner with them the night before and tell them everything you need to tell them. And I watched your little TikTok where you were talking to them at the track.
Yep.
And I watched that and I thought, okay, this is really cool because some of these kids, they better listen to what's going on here because they can get that thing taken away from them real fast when they're out there not knowing what they're doing.
Right. So, right. And it's one of those things. I try to give them every kind of knowledge I have asked or gotten. You know, without knowledge, I'm just setting them up for failure. So if we can do that and give them as much as we can, I think we're going to put out a better car, a better person, you know, and they're going to learn a lot more and be able to absorb it quicker when it happens. So that's my biggest thing is try to explain to them.
You and Hillenberg and I can't think of a couple others. Do y'all work together a lot to try to
absolutely
help each other out compared to the Venturini and
well,
the
no,
cars?
I'm going to stop you there because Venturini helps me just as much.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
Kevin Reed has been awesome.
I
you
like
know,
Kevin Reed. He's a
Kevin
good guy.
Reed picks up the phone and he'll send me texts, and we have a good time. So I don't care what level team. If you ask Frank Kimmel, you ask Billy Venturini, they all help. Hillenberg's helps me all the time to do these short track deals. You know, Hillenberg's, I'm going to probably be running the Hillenberg number at New Smyrna because I'm going to need help with crew and stuff like that. So Hillenberg gives me crew if I run his number. So we try to trade back and forth. So, you know, that's how we're going to try to put this East season together, is try to run with Hillenberg and my stuff and try to run a bunch of races this year.
So will you be driving, or are you going to have some other people that possibly driving the car too?
It depends. We may have a 2-car effort at some tracks. It depends. If we have somebody that wants to run with us, absolutely. We'll put a second car on, or I'll give up my seat to run a second car, to run another car. So it's wide open. You know, Davey ran for Southern National for us last year. You know, we were running top 5, and unfortunately we just tuned the car out a little bit at the end and cost us a spot. So there's always opportunity with everything.
I know Scott asked you earlier about how many people you got working with you on your car and your equipment and everything. How many people actually work with you on the race car? I know you get a lot of volunteers that come with you when you go
Correct.
down.
But we have a lot of volunteers that just come, you know, like Daryl Faree yesterday. It was his day off. He was at the shop putting fuel cells in. He was working on stuff like that. Peyton comes over. Robert comes over. Cole will come over.
Kayla.
You know, Kayla's there all the time. She comes after we work 12 hours at the shop on trash trucks. She'll come over and help us do fuel cells, stickers, stuff like that. So it's everybody. I mean, we have 4 or 5 people that are rotating out during the week helping me do all this. Like we had Brad Perez come up from North Carolina to help me for 2 days. So it's one of those big evolving things that we need help. We're underfunded, so we can't pay, but these guys are in it for me, and they help me out tremendously.
You know, Kayla seems to be I've talked to her a couple of times. She seems to be a real cool girl. She does her and that modified. And I was really liked how she drove the modified here during the Beluso race.
Yep.
And you know, I
and
think
she's another one. You know, with Peyton, they're learning different tracks now. You know, they're going to get out there and hit the wall every once in a while, but they're going to win too. You know, they're learning, and this is what we need for this sport, is kids like that to continue to work on their stuff and get better and make sure we continue this sport for generations to come.
We actually plan to do a Daytona style test at Dominion, where we will have rental spots for short trackers that want to come out. I mean, I'd be interested in talking to Vaughn to do one here too. It just gives the opportunity to a lower price point to get these guys in an ARCA car, you know, because we want to get Peyton and Kayla in one of our cars. So,
well, that would be
Yeah.
cool.
That's where it's going to be kind of like a gong show. Remember the back of the day?
Yeah,
they used to have
I
a
remember
gong
that.
show?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to try to do. You know, it's not going to be like they tried out West this year where you got to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
We're going to do it so the average guy wants to come out and test, do 20 laps, something like that in our car, and see where they're at. They're more than welcome to come out. You know, and we're going to do it at Dominion, and it wouldn't be hurt to put it together a short track car to come here to Langley and have some fun too.
Well, when you ever do that at Dominion, call me, because I want to come up and watch that. I mean, that's got to be fun to participate in.
It is. We usually go out there. We're going to probably shake down the short track car for New Smyrna next week down there. You know, so we'll do a little video and stuff like that on TikTok. TikTok's really taken off for us, and we never would have thought that it would have done that and helped us.
I'm going to tell you right now, you hit a home run with her, because she is perfect with these TikToks and everything she does. I mean, I can't wait to see some of the stuff I mean, you know, the wing house was the best one, but you know, I really enjoy it, and it gives an insight that, you know, some people don't see, and I appreciate the way you handle that.
What we have noticed with the TikToks and suddenly having so many renters that we've never been able to get before, I think it gives people such an insight into our team. They feel like they know us, and with a lot of teams, and there are teams better than us, but there's that feeling of I get to be there with Willie, right? Like he's part of the sales pitch now because people are so drawn to him that I think these kids look at it and they're like, I can go test for this team and I get to be with Willie at the same time. And it's kind of a new thing for us to go through that
it's made our team grow quickly.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing about it is you're so good at talking with these kids and knowing what they're, you know, you're relaying that information to them. And I was looking at some of the faces. They were really entranced in what you were saying, and they were taking it all in. And that's because you know how to talk to them.
Maybe it's my mentality is the problem.
Well, no, I ain't gonna
You're old anyway, so
I'm a kid at heart. I just have a business so I can afford to race. I don't have any kids myself, and these cars are my kids. So we're here to have fun.
Well, when you do the test at Dominion, I'll come up and be the kid for a little while, watch what you're doing up there.
There you go.
I'll be more than glad to do that. All right, we got Blake. I can't pronounce his last name.
Blake Lothian.
Lothian, that's it.
Yep.
I'm not even going to try to say
I
it.
called it 2-3 different names.
What's up, Blake? How you doing, man?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
How's it going?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm great. Look, we got Willie here, and he was talking trash about you. He said, man, you just couldn't drive that car. He didn't know what was wrong with you.
Kept missing the corners.
That's all right.
So, Blake, I mean, what was it like going around Daytona for the first time?
Oh my goodness, it was such an amazing experience. Growing up as a kid, you always watched the Daytona 500 on TV. Went to the race last year. Going under the tunnel for the first time as an actual driver. I mean, that's such an amazing experience. Rolling out of the pit lane, going into the corners. I mean, it is such an amazing experience racing on Daytona. Just driving around the track is just amazing.
Now, how hard was it not to lift getting in the corner?
For me, I did a lot of practice on iRacing, so I practiced with the 87 cars. So those cars notoriously have no grip. So for me, the first time I held it as far down as I could push the pedal down. So I thought it was flat out, but I wasn't 100% flat out.
Did Willie tell you weren't 100% flat out?
Well, the good thing with the Elmores, the guy with the computer comes over, plugs in, and tells you where you're at.
Oh.
You're like, oh, I can go faster?
Yeah.
So, Blake, give us a little bit. Now, a lot of people don't know anything about you. I know you won a race at Hickory last year, right?
Yep.
Okay, I knew that. So tell us a little bit how you got started in racing and how it got to this point.
So for me, I started off in road karting when I was little. From there, I won a few championships in the indoor scene, like a local kart track. From there, I built a go-kart with CF Motorsports, my Camaro. I won a few championships there. From there, we reached out to Rev Racing, got into the Drive for Diversity program for 2 years. Did have a lot of success there. Went to Mike Darn Racing for a year of late model racing, and now here we are today.
So you were driving for Mike Darn when you won the race at Hickory last year?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's pretty good experience for you to have that kind of background because he's always had some decent cars. So
100%. He always puts his heart into those cars. I mean, whenever I'm on track, I know I have a race-winning car.
Now you're working with him too, right? You working in the shop and everything down there too?
Not much. I live up in Massachusetts, so I try to get down there whenever I possibly can.
Well, I thought it said something about working at Mike Darn. I thought, okay, you working down there? Okay, never mind. So when are we going to see you move down to Charlotte or move down in the area to pursue this?
I hope to do that this year. Obviously, my family, we live up in Massachusetts. My sister still goes to school up here, so it's a hard decision for our family to do. So.
Oh, okay. Now, tell us a little bit about Willie talking to you at the racetrack and everything.
Is he intimidating, or is he just he plays too much?
It's a little. The first time seeing him, it's like, oh, hello.
That's right, large and in charge.
But he's full of so much wisdom. Felt real comfortable around the entire team. When I went first on the track, he gave us so much information, so I felt like I knew 100% what I was doing. So really, really
what
good.
What we're trying to do is, give these kids as much of my experience over these last 8 years and fill them full of that before they go out there. So they hear a sound or a noise, it doesn't freak them out. They're able to go out there and make good decisions, good judgment calls on their first couple laps.
So that was pretty good deal to be in an ARCA car, and especially a Willie Mullins ARCA car. I mean, think about it. That's a big deal.
That's right.
Oh, 100%.
So what is your plans for this coming year? Are you got anything worked out for this coming year, and what's going on?
Well, we're going to be racing late models with Mike Darn Racing this year for sure. We're working on a few other things. So yeah, we'll see what we can come together with.
All right, cool. Well, we like to see you get going down there. You gonna be racing the Hickory most of the time, or you gonna be racing other places too?
I'm trying to venture out this year, try to run a bunch of different tracks, big tracks, small tracks, a little bit of everything this year.
We get you to come up to Dominion Raceway. You know, you'd like to bring some of his cars up there. I know Mason came up last year. We had a couple other guys, but you know, we're always welcomed at either Langley or Dominion. So
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Some of the big ones, the Hampton Heat.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a stellar race every year. You
Yeah.
know, you need to come up here and run with those some of them guys.
Yeah, we were planning to run Dominion for the non-winners race, but then the week before we won at Hickory, so we were eligible for that race.
Oh, damn. That's terrible.
You couldn't talk to them people at Dominion and say, "Look, I didn't win here."
That's what
Yeah,
I was
I was
saying.
trying to say, but they didn't let me.
That's actually really odd. We should have.
See, Donna's sitting right here now. She, you know,
She just ruled in your favor. But
yeah, she said she would
It's
have voted
too late.
in your favor. So that's a pretty cool deal.
just don't run up there until the non-winners race this year, and then you'll be good.
Well, you know, what's pretty cool about our testers, think about this. I think all of them, I'm not sure about Blake, but all of them had late model wins this year. You know, Logan Clark had a late model win. Cole Bruce had a late model win.
Yeah.
He had a late model win. I mean, we had a good group of guys that tested with us, had all late model wins. You know, there's people that unfortunately talk on the internet about wins. A win's a win, you know, and all of our testers that were good, you know, even his for Mike Darn. When you go to Hickory and win, yeah, there might not be a ton of cars, but a win's a win. You got to run up front and you got to run up there for the 30 or 40 laps.
You know what Phil Warren said? There's no Astro beside your name when it's got the W.
No, sir.
If there's two cars on the
And
track,
take
there's
it
no Astro
and
beside
take it
your
from
name.
Scott. Scott over here, he races here at Langley in the Pro Sixes, and he set a record for top fives. But there won't be 4 cars in the race. But he still got a top 5.
Hey,
Hey,
it counts. It counts.
there's
you know?
no Astro beside my name.
That's right. It counts. We'll take any win we can get.
That's right.
So tell us what that, I mean, that, like Scott asked you about that ARCA car, that had to be, when you sat down in that car, that had to be a rush of adrenaline.
Yeah, how nervous were you before you went out on pit road?
I was pretty nervous, to be 100% honest. Even with all the iRacing experience and everything, I practiced everything on iRacing hundreds of times. But, you know, when you're getting in the car, you're all snug. Once you fire the engine, I stalled a few times, but when you fire the engine, you know, most of the nerves go away. The main thing is not stalling the car, rolling out for the first time, stopping at general tire, then rolling out onto the track. Once you're on the pit lane, for me, all the nerves went away, going through the gears, really smooth. So then all you're doing is listening to the spotter. I didn't think at all. All I was doing was listening.
Now, how close for you was the iRacing to actually the racetrack?
It was almost real life to me. Like it felt, I mean, all the tracks are laser scanned. So all the bumps are there, everything. So the only thing missing is the heat.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I was curious. I mean, I know they 3D scan it, but and then I know in those force feedback wheels, you feel those little, but I still got to be different. Going 190 or 180, whatever you guys are going, compared to sitting in your chair with your.
The biggest thing from me being a racer to an iRacer is the feel in your butt. There's no feel when that thing starts turning sideways a little bit. You don't feel it.
Yeah.
You know, when a big car starts moving around, and you know it's right at that edge. You can kind of back off, wheel it back. You know, I just can't ever get the feel of when that thing starts to turn and it snaps. You know, it's just too far around and gone on iRacing before you feel it or catch it.
Well, Blake, did you feel that when you were out there racing, the car moving around and everything? Did you get the feel of it?
Oh, yeah, especially in the draft. When I was leading a 4-car draft, I really felt all the air moving the car around. But the car was pretty stable for most of the runs. But, you know, when you're behind other cars, you feel the air moving you around quite a bit. You don't get that feeling on iRacing, sadly, yet. But I definitely felt the air moving the car around a lot, which that was pretty cool.
I bet the smile on his face when he was leading that 4-car pack, boy, but you couldn't even perma smile.
That's right. And that's what we're here to do is give these guys as much experience as we can. So if they do come back to the race with us, they understand what's happening, what's pushing, what's pulling, things like that, because the air just moves you around so much.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty good deal, but to get that type of experience, and you know, that's good for you, Blake, that you were able to have that, and maybe you can filter that into some other forms of racing down the road, and maybe you can get back in an ARCA car again and do something else.
Yeah, I mean, is that kind of the goal? Is that kind of got your feet wet and is something you're looking forward or looking to in the future?
Yeah, of course, we're trying to move forward in my career of racing. I want to try to make it to the Cup Series, so trying to take everything one step at a time.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
19. Oh, you better do it fast.
That's right.
You're getting old. You're almost
You're younger these days.
You're almost as old as Willie. You better hurry up. Well,
Did your family go down there with you?
It was just my dad and I.
Mm-hmm. What did your dad think about his experience?
He went to a few races before with me at Daytona. He thought it was pretty cool. He was doing lots of work most of the time while we were there. But he thought it was pretty neat, being in the infield at Daytona, seeing me go around the track. He was there in turns 3 and 4 getting video of me. He said that was pretty cool, seeing me go around at that speed.
Yeah, I can understand that. I can get that feeling too. When you have a kid, the kid does better than you do. That's a big deal. You get out there and achieve a lot. So congratulations to you for that. You got through it and had a great test, and you worked with a great guy. Willie Mullins is a pretty great guy. Of course, the better part.
Hold on, the brains behind the operation sitting over here.
Oh, is that what you call a puppet master over there?
Okay.
Well, you admit you were the puppet, so I'll take
Well,
it.
at least Donna didn't have to holler at you for tearing up the car, so you're good. So anyway, Blake, thanks a lot. Appreciate you being with us tonight, man. And
Congratulations and good luck, man.
hopefully
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
around.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
Blake.
you.
I mean, it's got to be gratifying too, is taking these kids and helping them with this experience of running Daytona. Because I mean, I'm sure you remember your first time going there.
I do.
And I mean, we're all racers, and we all think about like, man, running around there, it's got to be so cool,
And it was, the first time I went, I still remember it because it was we put a bunch of group of guys together that were late model guys that didn't know what we were doing. I built the motor the first time. I put the car all together, and we went there, and that was the year JJ Pack drove for us, because it was one of those things. He wanted to get in the car, and we worked something out. We didn't have the finish we wanted. One of those things, we had a busted oil line. So it was the first year of my dabbling into the ARCA series.
So then what's the hell's the word I'm looking for? What do you like about the ARCA series? I mean, why is it the ARCA series compared to some other class?
Well, the ARCA series is probably where I'm going to stay for the rest of my life, because it's one of those. It's a stepping stone for a lot of kids. Mm-hmm. So I would like to give kids opportunity to move up, and try to fulfill their dreams, things like that. But I realize where my level is, and I enjoy running at the ARCA level. Mm-hmm. You call me a seasoned veteran. It's I forget I'm 40 years old, but I still feel like I'm 25.
41.
So it's one of those things that I enjoy it. That's why we stay at the ARC series. Mm-hmm. Yes, we could run Xfinity for what we're spending because we get a lot of questions about that. Mm-hmm. But I would rather be a big fish in a small pond instead of the small fish in a huge ocean of people.
Correct.
Yeah. And the guys, the series between Ron Drager and Joe Wells treat us as if we're one of them. So mm-hmm. that's why we're there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think some of the people out there, even some of the younger guys that are coming along now, don't realize, the Xfinities have the bodies now, but the bodies, the Olmore motors. Yep. So you're a little bit more on an equal playing field than you are in an Xfinity car.
Correct.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Unless you're in a Gibbs or whatever, at God knows, $200,000 a race.
Yeah. You can be in a low level team for 50 or 60 in Xfinity, or you're going to spend $200,000 to be in a Gibbs car or whatever. But it's just, that's why I think where we're at, the equipment we have, the people we have helping us. Mm-hmm. Tony Furr helps us out. Like I said, Venturini helps us. Hillenberg helps us. So everybody is together as a joint effort to make this little team make the show better. Mm-hmm. We want to run up front with them. Yeah,
everybody's pulling in the same direction.
Yep.
They want the series to survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So your team will be beefed up a little better this year than you've had when you went down there before, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, he's not building a motor.
I'm going to think Callahan may not be there.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I think Callahan's having to work now for a living, so he can't get off work.
First time for everything. And how about John Britt? He go with you a lot?
He does. He has a new kid as of last year, so it's kind of slowed him down.
He's got a kid?
He does have a kid.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got actually 2 kids. One, him at being himself a kid, and he had one last year. So it's good for him. It's unfortunately we can't get him off every weekend to get him down there with us, but we're here to take him down there and have a little fun.
Well, that's the way it works out. Robert Skinnell, I don't know who we can get to help Scott try to get a win. He's done picked just about everybody in the garage at Langley to help him out, and he got there yet.
No, Scott doesn't run through a bunch of people. We keep a tight knit. We don't let everybody look at our stuff.
Okay, whatever. I mean, yeah, you don't let nobody look at it. I agree with that.
Maybe Scott needs to work in a gray area a little bit.
You can look at Scott. He's in the gray area already. All right, we got Brayton Lester on here. Let's get him on here and talk to him and make fun of him a little bit.
Awesome.
All right, Brayton. Now, Willie had been sitting here talking about all you guys that went down and did that test and thought about how bad you did. And
I don't doubt that for a second. We did terrible down there, but
he said he just wished, you just wish you was a little bit better than what you were when you went down there. But,
Did you hold the gas all the way to the floor?
oh, 100%. I mean, I come from dirt racing and we're full send all the race pretty much. So I was used to 100% throttle all the time.
He's crazy enough. He runs in figure 8 races up there.
Oh God!
Up in the Midwest.
Yeah,
you run
crazy.
race up there?
I do. Yes, we race outlaw figure 8 models, which are like $40,000-$50,000 full blown late models in the intersection, driving and trying to bob and weave through each other. So it's a big deal here in Indianapolis, and that's one of my origin stories.
Really?
Do you, when you're going through the intersection, I guess you call it, do you even look and see, or are you just?
Yeah, my home track is the Indianapolis Speedrome. That's where I grew up at, which is it's a tiny, I believe it's a quarter mile. So and we have 20, 30 cars out there sometimes. And there's a race called the World Figure 8 3-hour endurance race, which is a 3-hour long figure 8 race. And they start 24 cars, and as a car will wreck, they'll throw another one on. So they have like 40 or so cars. So you can have up to 30 cars on the track at the same time. So you have to time it.
Think about this. Dominion, all the drivers run in the same direction. And as you can see with my wife's TikTok, they can't even make themselves.
I can't even imagine doing a figure 8.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that.
Wow, I did not know
Chassis
you were
builder
figure
would be
8.
happy.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did not know
I've
that.
been running figure 8 since I was 12 years old. My mom did not approve of it at first. I don't think she still approves of it, but
I didn't hate to get hit in the driver's door.
So now you're doing some dirt racing. Tell us a little bit about that.
yeah. So I started out in asphalt when I was 8 years old in go-karts and moved my way up through thunder cars and street stocks and front-wheel drives, which are like Hornets. And when I was 15 years old in 2018, we decided we're going to go run dirt. And I'm from Greenwood, Indiana, which is just south of Indianapolis. And CJ Rayburn, which was a huge role model in my life.
Right.
And unfortunately, we lost him just a couple weeks ago. He lives about 5 minutes, 10 minutes from, or her shop is like 5-10 minutes from our house. So we went down to the shop and we're like, CJ, we want to run some dirt. What's the best way to do it? And he goes, well, if you want to do it, you got to do it right. And you got to get a super. And Brownstown Speedway here in Brownstown, Indiana, is one of the most competitive local short track racing scenes for super dirt late models. So we made a move there. We were able to get Rookie of the Year in my first season on dirt, running with CJ, and he helped us out a ton. And that's kind of where we've been at these past couple years, is running super dirt late models all over the country. I've ran Lucas the Lucas late model, Lucas Oil late model series, the Road of Outlaw late model series, the Ultimate Heart of America late model series, and we've run with dozens of tracks and different series, and we just travel a lot, and it's really cool.
Have you been to the Midwest, about in the Midwest, like in Missouri, and out there and run your late model out there?
We've been to Peabody, Missouri, which is right on the border.
Okay.
I've heard Peabody. Yeah, that's
I
pretty
was
cool.
at Peabody this past year, and I loved that place.
Yeah, there at I-55 Speedway. We went the first race, actually, when the pandemic began in March of 2020, like racing kind of got on a pause, and that was like the first big race back. I believe it was in May, they had like 60 or 70 cars show up, and we did not belong there whatsoever. But we were like, we're gonna go, and we're gonna try our best. And that was a fun and that was a fast track. That was at the time definitely the biggest and fastest track I've ever been to. So it was huge, but it was an awesome experience.
Now, what brought you to get hooked up with Willie here and try the ARCA car? Tell us a little bit about that.
So my origin story with the Mullins begins on TikTok of all things.
That don't surprise me. Don't surprise me.
Really?
Don has an awesome TikTok, and they document a lot of their stuff, and I could relate a lot to them. I like their style of racing. So this is a funny story. Actually, all that kind of was put together this past month. I've always wanted to make it big into NASCAR, IndyCar, with me being from Indiana, Indy 500 is a dream of mine. But it was late December, and my dad walked into my room at like 11 o'clock in the morning. I slept in. He goes, "All right, Sam, we got to go to work." I work for my dad's scrapyard, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, what do you think about running an ARCA car at Daytona?" I said, "Oh, that'd be cool. I'll drive anything if it's got 4 wheels and a steering wheel." He goes, "All right, well, why don't you do some research and see what you can find out?" And my dad actually owned an ARCA car in 2004. They ran one race at Salem, and he decided that was way too expensive and decided he was just going to go back to figure 8 racing. So we always had.
Wait a minute. Your dad owned an ARCA car, and he said that was way too expensive, so he goes back to figure 8 racing.
Yes.
Does he want to go ARCA racing?
There you go. Jeez, man. Your dad he got a
Smart
little
guy.
confused there. He got a little confused there for a minute, didn't he?
So yeah, that was kind of our thought process there. And my dad left out a lot of contacts, and I'm like, I'll see if the Mullins are looking for any drivers to come down with them. And I went to Facebook and saw they were looking for some people to come down to the test. And I shot Willie an email. It was like December 22nd, and he took that. It was a couple hours, like the most nervous hours I've spent waiting for an email. It's like, yeah, we got.
I'm out there working in a trash truck or something like that, so it's not like I'm not watching my phone. It's it's hard to get back to these guys quick.
Yeah.
So, and he's like, yeah, we got a couple spots, and I'll get my wife to shoot you an email. And I'm like, that's awesome. And then over the next couple of days, we put it together, and I was able to go down to Daytona and test. And within a couple of weeks of putting that original deal together, now we have a deal with a race at Daytona with the ARCA Menard Series, which is, I never thought I'd personally make it this far. So
that was the next question. I mean, all this worked out for you to get a ride in the Daytona ARCA race, and that's a big deal. And
yes.
And I see today you got you a sponsor. Got a sponsor hooked up for that. I mean, your part. I don't know how much of a sponsor. I don't know how much it is, but whatever. But you got that, and it looks like you're excited about what you're doing.
Very much, yes.
But let's back up. So, what was your Daytona test like for you? What was the experience? What was it like pulling out on the grid for the first time?
So actually, I met up with Willie at the Bass Pro Shops across the street from Daytona, like the day before the test.
Yeah, we're out there finishing cars, putting tear-offs on, stuff like that. Yeah.
And he gave us a lot of driving instructions. Actually got in the car for the first time there. And in the figure 8 stuff, we have a lot, we have very open cockpits. And that is something I was not used to in the ARCA car, was how tight the cockpit was. And we had to make some adjustments.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a bigger guy compared to the other drivers, especially. So we had to make a couple adjustments there. We go, and just driving through the tunnel I've heard stories about it, but actually getting to be able to sit there and experience it was just phenomenal. And the best part was my dad's crying there, and it was just really emotional for us, because we never thought we would make it this far. I'm from a grassroots, Indianapolis small track dirt boy. We're not supposed to make it to Daytona, but we went out there to the test, and first time I killed it a couple times. And the biggest issue we had was on dirt, we don't have two-way communication or mirrors or anything. So that was my first time running a radio hookup, and it didn't work. I couldn't hear Kevin Belmont, my spotter, very well. He couldn't hear me. So I rolled out through the pitch, and I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. So I had to come back in, and I believe I used your helmet.
Yeah.
And so that was awesome. Then we went out. and I'm just kind of cruising. And they told us, the first day we're going to let you, be by ourselves. If you get stuck in a draft, we'll kind of have you slow down a little bit. And I'm out there cruising, and I'm probably 5-6 laps in, and Kevin's like, "Hey, kid, not gonna lie, you're doing pretty solid, being pretty consistent." And all of a sudden, the Nice Motorsports car, the 40, I believe, of Dean Thompson, pulls out in front of me coming down the backstretch. And Kevin's like, "All right, we're going to have to just follow his footsteps." He's like, "Get right behind him." I'm like, "You're going to do what?" So that was just phenomenal. I went into that experience, completely blind, and I came out completely speechless. I had just no words to say. I never thought I'd get to run there, and that was just being able to run there. Being able to race there is a fantastic opportunity just for me, and I'm still speechless, as you can tell. This is so awesome.
Was your foot shaking when you started to draft behind him there?
A little bit. I knew I couldn't be nervous, and that's kind of my same mindset going in the races. I can't be nervous. I got to look at it like it's just another feature, which it's very evidently not. But I have to look at it that way, because if I go out there and I'm nervous and I tense up, that's where I'm going to make those mistakes. That's where I'm going to make those errors. And Daytona is not a track that can afford to make tiny errors like that.
Right.
So you're out there with Willie Mullen's helmet.
Was it
That's
was
enough-
it real
that's enough-
was
that's
it real
enough.
loose on your head?
Actually, it was pretty. It was a pretty good fit. I was kind of surprised,
So I know it's got to be exciting. I know your dad, like you said, your dad's excited about all this. But what's it like to work with Willie? I mean, I want you to be honest. If he's not, if you don't like him, just say you don't like him. But I mean,
I might wait till after the race before you submit
My wife
that.
tells me that all the time. I'm used to it.
say the Mullins and Willie and Dinah and that whole crew, they're just awesome to work with. And I'd never, I come from dirt track racing, and Cole and Logan, all those guys kind of had they were in Blake, I think, they knew each other previously going to Daytona. I was like the outsider looking at, especially the whole garage area. A lot of these guys know each other. A lot of these guys have raced against each other for years. And I didn't really know a whole lot of people there, especially the Mullins crew. And they were just so awesome and great. So we quickly, I guess, merged with each other. We worked really great together right off the bat. And Cole and Robert Bruce was just Cole was especially, he had to reach for the sun didn't shine a couple times to help me put my belts on, because the belt was really up in there. But that me and Cole got to know each other pretty good real quick.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
If he's helping you get your belts on, y'all probably didn't know each other well.
That's the one thing with those big guys. You got to have somebody to help us put our belts on. So that's what Cole's job was that weekend.
So when you're making some laps, when in your experience over the Daytona test, did you say we got to try to figure out how to come back and run the race?
We were already kind of thinking about that after the first session. So after we wanted to see if I could even do it, if I was even at least somewhat comprehensive of what we were doing. And I went out there, and I mean, Kevin just said we did awesome. We were super consistent that first session, and drafting behind Dean Thompson was awesome. So I come in and I go over to that little corner and talk to my mom and my dad, and my dad's like, "All right, son, we're coming back here." He goes, I don't care how we're doing, but we're coming back in February. So I'm 19 years old, and I'm old, compared to NASCAR standards. So if I really wanted a shot at making it big, this was my one-way ticket. So this is all the marbles right here.
And that's one thing, we try to teach these kids is this first time, absorb everything and make a memory, because we don't know if we're going to get that nice shot tomorrow. Don't drive over your head, but go out there, make yourself known, do as best you can do, try to keep defenders on it, and try to make somebody see you. Mm-hmm. That's all we can do is give them good equipment, and he's got it, the steering wheel. He makes all the decisions. Spotter can help, but the guy that makes the last decisions behind the steering wheel.
And we tell these kids, stay in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because you might not, we know, and this is a crazy sport. So enjoy every moment.
That's right.
And don't look at it always as a stepping stone to fully be present. Because we have a customer that talks about it's not the money you spend, it's the stories you have when you're older.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And our whole life is just building stories. And if it works, I look at this, if it works out, awesome. And if it doesn't, we still have amazing stories. So stay present.
Yeah.
Every opportunity you get.
So did you stay present with your opportunity? Did you get out there and just say, I'm here? I'm gonna show them something now.
I'll say, even if we go down to the race and we don't have the finish we're really wanting, I can still say I got the race with Daytona, which
That's what we want. We went. There's, unfortunately, it's just like pro ball. There's so many few that get picked up.
Right.
Live this as your chance to have fun, to enjoy it, to tell your grandkids. Do that, because we don't know where money comes from. We have to work for that. It's such a big ball. One little piece, you're just working a job, but then you still have that story when you're 50 years old to tell your kids and your grandkids.
It's like tomorrow, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yep.
Tomorrow's not promised. So you might as well have
No
a
guarantees
blast
tomorrow.
at it.
Yeah.
Doing it. Well, Brayton, I'm glad you got that opportunity. You were pretty fast down there. Now you got a ride for the ARCA race. I mean, what more we got going on?
I say this, like I said, I can go down there and nothing can happen of it. Which, to be honest, like I said, I never thought I'd make it this far. To be able to go down there and run the race is just an awesome opportunity. And if something happens to it, if this is my big break that I've been waiting for, that many people have been waiting for, this is this awesome. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, but you did accomplish something. You did accomplish the fact that you ran good. I think 13th.
I think 13th, wasn't it, in that last pack or something like that?
The second day, I believe, like 15th maybe.
Okay, I couldn't remember exactly, but we had a good car.
I mean, you got to be with Willie.
Yeah.
And I mean
that's a prize.
I'm not trying to say he's the greatest and anything like that, even though he's pretty good.
I'm pretty far from the greatest.
But the thing about it is, you get to be in an experience with him as far as his cars, his equipment, and
you're driving a 3-car around Daytona.
yeah.
I mean,
But I know Willie said you were not to touch the black ones, to stay away from it.
Don't go near the black one. Don't even look at it.
Yeah.
That's Willie's baby.
And you get in the race, and somehow or other that black one comes up near you, get the hell out the way, let him go.
Hey, that's the good thing. We're going to have a team car with us this year. This is one of the first times we've had a team car. I feel that car can help me, or I can help him if for some reason we're at the back riding around. Well, the biggest thing is we need to stay on the lead lap for the first 75 laps of that race. The last 5 is when we go play. There's no use to tearing the fenders off on lap 20, and I've done that. I finished 43rd twice.
Now, let's just look at it from Brayton's standpoint. When he gets down to Daytona and gets in that race, on that ARCA race, is there going to be an order to say, look, all right, here we are, let's go to the back and ride? Are you going to be the one calling that shot, or?
No, it's pretty simple for me. If I don't qualify in the top 5, I'm going to go to the back and ride around. This car and his car has enough speed in it. If we can get 4 or 5 of the senior guys in ARCA, me, Scott Melton, Dave Mater, him, all just get in a good group, ride around at the back until there's 10 to 15 to go, then we're going to have a good group to go back forward. Because all those guys are just like me. They spend some money, they want to go race, and they don't want to tear it up because they got to pay for it Monday morning.
Right.
So if we can put a good group together and then go towards the end, I think we'll have a good chance.
Well, Brayton, I'll be pulling for you, man. Hope everything works out good for you down there, man.
Yeah, I hope so too. Even if we go down there, we don't get the finish we're wanting, I can still say I got to run Daytona, which is a lot of people try to get to this level, and not a lot of people
If you get mad at Willie and Dinah, don't hit their car. Okay? Just get out of your car, just walk away.
There you go.
Just walk away and say, hey, I had a good time. Then you can call him names later. But,
Yep.
But anyway, thanks, Brayton. We appreciate it, man.
Good
Thanks
luck.
a lot.
Thank you guys for having me on the show.
Thank you,
it's
Brayton.
been a blast.
We're excited to see you down at Daytona in a couple weeks.
Yep. See you, boss man.
I mean, it is cool. I'd imagine for you to see these guys do it, and then you have the aspect of their parents. I imagine sometimes that can be a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I mean, you got all these kids, and then you got their parents or a parent, whichever one come with
and
them.
you guys see it in the short track racing. There's so many different agendas with the parent, right? Some parents are out there to support their kid no matter what happens. Some parents are out there, as you know, think their kid's the next NASCAR superstar, Jeff Gordon. And unfortunately, it just frustrates you. if you can't win at a Langley or Dominion and you got to go to another short track down south somewhere where there's 4 cars, then, you got to come up here and run good with the good guys. Then you can move on.
I agree with you, Willie.
I'm kind of speechless right now.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm with you.
Okay.
And I'll say, like, for me, running the Pro 6 car, and Travis Wall has won all the races.
Yeah.
And Travis is a good kid. And I mean, at the end of the season, I'm like, are you coming back next year? Because I don't want to come here and win when
Ride
you're not
around,
here.
yeah.
I want to win when you're here. I want to
Yeah.
beat you. Because if I beat you, then I've done something.
Right.
If you're not here and I win, I don't feel like
And
I've done
that's
as
the thing
much.
is, yeah, there could be 4 cars out there. But if that guy that's winning every night, just like your modified guy, he's out here winning every race. But that gives those guys somebody to shoot at.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get that one win, beating that guy heads up, that's a big thing. That's just as big as us going running good at Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're proud of is Langley and Dominion have those guys in their fields at different classes and different levels. So when we get a Davey Callahan that beats a Peyton Sellers, a Cole Bruce that got one, hey, you got to win, but he beat those guys that night. They were on the sheet, he beat them.
Right.
You come down here and beat,
Mark.
you got Mark
Edwards.
Works,
I mean,
he's
there's
Butterbean,
there's
Connor.
Butterbean's
there's
awesome.
8 cars
Connor
that can
Hall.
win every night.
Yeah.
Here.
You come down and beat those guys down here, those are the guys to beat.
I would say hands down, Dominion and Langley had the 2 most competitive late model fields in probably a 5-state region.
Yeah.
And I will go to bat for both of our tracks. Like, I think both tracks had amazing seasons. Our car count was a little bigger, but you guys had more winners. So it was a very, both
Diverse.
tracks represented Virginia short track racing to the amazing last year.
Look at this. Peyton Sellers was in Nashville. He ran our track to get his points to be able to win the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we want to see is a Mark Wirtz going for the national championship down here in Langley.
Mm-hmm.
That's what short track's about. That's what racing's what we desire is good competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really cool. I really think you guys do a great job with that. And I appreciate you coming down here and driving all the way down here.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know who drove.
I do because she was yelling and hitting me the whole way. So I had her scared a couple times.
As long as you know how to get back and where the bathrooms are, you'll be good.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way,
Thank
Vaughn,
God for that.
hey, Vaughn, by the way, need to check the elevator out here. Somebody might not have made it.
I don't know how many times she's like, "Are you kidding me? Are you joking?" Like, no.
I'll be texting Vaughn on the way home.
I mean, if it's a month from now, we'll probably have a bathroom.
And I enjoy coming on these shows, because we are at an upper level, but it's no different than these guys that are putting in sweat every night to run here, run Dominion. And without dedicated racers, we don't have a good show no matter where you go. And that's what we're here to do. And that's why I'm here to promote your track, promote Dominion, get these kids out of the Midwest.
Southern National, South Boston. I come from the Midwest. I come from Minnesota. We have 1 asphalt track in Minnesota. We have 11 dirt tracks. But I think Virginia people in North Carolina, we start to forget. It's like an embarrassment of riches of how many amazing short tracks we have in our state.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish our fan base would come out a little bit more. They're missing is these people get on Facebook and it's just mad about NASCAR. And it's like, man, you are just missing it because right around the corner are the best drivers in the country. And they're not on TV. They're here at your local short track. Come out and see them and support them and put your money and effort to these local heroes. And let's keep building local heroes. We need our next Philip Morris. We need our next Peyton Sellers.
Correct.
Who's going to fill that role?
I agree with you.
No.
The way it is, people, they don't see it.
Yeah.
Because Langley went through the 1 year where we wasn't open.
Yeah.
And
it's easy to get out of a routine.
Well,
And that's unfortunate when Langley was, and that's why Steve worked so hard to get some sort of race in, right? And we couldn't have fans at the beginning and things like that, but we got some races in, and it was to make sure the community of racers had somewhere to go. Yeah. We were running go-karts for how long?
Yeah.
And we get 10, 15 go-karts in the backyard. and that was fun and enjoyable, and it kept us as a little community of
Yeah.
who we had to have fun, you know. So it was
Even
good.
Callahan?
Wore us out. You know, I ain't gonna lie. You know, we even had Sergio Pena up there running some laps.
I heard about him.
You know,
Didn't
We're
he
gonna
end
get the
up in
barn.
the wall or in the
yeah,
tree or something?
he got to hit the hard hit that day tree. So
I think we're gonna get Barnes Brothers,
Yeah.
and then Landon Pendleton is
Oh Lord.
ready to come. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get.
we even were trying to
you know,
get Peyton Sellers to come up. And
I
twist his
think
arm.
if I work hard enough, if we start a campaign, we can get.
All right, I
Sellers
got
in a
Peyton
go-kart.
coming on the show next week.
Oh,
I'll
perfect,
hit him.
perfect,
I'll hit him up on it.
because he knows about. We've talked about it, so he knows about it. And
I
I've
got him
dropped
coming
some
on
hints.
next
I'd like
week,
him to
so-
come up. So
We're like,
yeah.
we heard that you're scared to go to White Oak Speedway.
I have been trying to get. We are friends with Philip Morris's nephew, so we have been trying. I'm like, you come. He's a dirt racer. I'm like, you come, and then just go pick up Philip. And he's like, I bet you I could get Philip to the dirt track. Can you imagine Peyton Sellers and Philip Morris in our go-karts in the backyard?
That would
Yeah.
be fun.
It'd be the greatest thing ever.
Legends.
It would. That would be viral.
Yeah.
It just would.
You know, we go live, have a good show, and watch these go karts, and that's once again just having fun racing. And when people lose that the passion, just having fun and racing hard, then it becomes a job, and we don't want to become a job because it's just no
We have
fun.
jobs.
We have
Yeah,
a job
yeah,
every
yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Don't need to.
No.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny you talk about like having a good time. It reminds me of the stories where Jimmy Spencer said when they go up to Pocono that Senior and those guys would go to his parents' junkyard.
Yeah.
And they would take these cars and run them down the hill.
Same deal. That's
And-
exactly
and,
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and Earnhardt was like, it should be illegal to have this much fun.
Yeah, I remember
They're
that
just
story.
beating each other in these cars, you know.
And that's so another story is it's cool to have, you know, we had Tony Furr helping us to hear the stories from back in the day, you know, with him and John Andretti or him when he was at Hendrick. It was so cool to hear some of the stories. And then that's the stuff that I want to create the stories for us. And then that's what we're a part of is we're building our own story.
And you're doing a great job.
Did
Thank
he
you.
tell you any of those gray area stories? I love hearing those gray
He
area
remember
stories.
now he was one of the at the time the highest fined ever crew chief
Oh, was he?
at Daytona. Yeah, he was.
Before Ray took it? Or,
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
Or,
He was one of the biggest.
What was
You know-
the driver that was on the Dale Jr. show? was his
Jerry Nadeau.
So Jerry
Jerry.
Nadeau was on Dale Jr., right? And Jerry is telling the cheating stories, and we have heard them. And Jerry was 100% wrong. Like he had no idea what really happened. We had just heard
Well,
them, and it was super. It was super
The
fun to
crew
hear
chief
him.
only fills you in so much
Yeah.
what he's doing.
For sure.
So it was
Yeah.
super fun to hear from him versus what Jerry thought was happening in the race car because he was not right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a couple of times that we've been down there, and then we get some of those guys, and we're doing a show down there, like when we go to Charlotte or something. And some of them will be like, oh, hell, I'll tell you what we used to do.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's funny to hear those stories. I forget, what's the little short dude that's fairly old? I can't think of his name. He was telling us how they used to have the fuel cell, and they'd have so much hose rolled up, and that,
Oh, yeah.
you know, they'd have all this extra fuel,
Yeah.
you know.
I forget who that was.
uh,
Walleye.
No, it wasn't walleye. It was starts with a P. Chase, his grandfather, Chase.
Castone?
Yeah.
Oh, Tiger
Yeah,
Tom?
Yeah, Tiger Tom. Yeah.
Oh,
Tiger
yeah,
Tom
I'm
was
sure
stoned.
he's got.
Oh,
some
oh
stories.
yeah. I mean,
And this is an adage that myself and Steve Britt go round and round sometimes with the cheating that happens at a local short track. I remind him that if a driver is cheating and knows about it, 10 other people in the infield know. Because I've never met a driver who cheats that isn't super proud of himself and has to tell somebody what they figured out.
Yeah.
I'm like, if nobody knows, they didn't actually know they're cheating.
I've actually seen that in work at
Yeah.
in the NASCAR Cup garage
Yeah.
one time, because there was this thing about not tightening the lugs all the way up so the tire will set just a little bit. And my son was the car chief on Jeff Gordon's car. He kind of said it somehow or other, and I'm sure somebody's mouth ran.
well, that or they're watching.
And well, I could, but the thing about it is, somebody's mouth ran, and they pulled him through. They said, no, back up. So he messed with it, and they still didn't tighten lugs. He went back through there. Finally, the guy said, "I'll tell you what, you go out there and park that car right out there, and when I get tired, we'll go ahead and check it and get you ready for the race."
Yeah, but
And
that's what good racing's about.
Oh yeah, I mean, you take. I mean, we know this. So the 78 car when it won the championship, I think it was the year. It might have been the year after. I can't remember if it was the year after, or I think it was that year actually. They had been going through tech, and they didn't. The other teams didn't notice this was going on until later in the season. And what they were doing is they would get the car to fail for a shim in the right front or the right rear, whatever. And he said they come back around in their garage and look at him and they're like, didn't they get popped for a shim in the right front? They just think, yeah, well, they're working on the right rear. So they would cheat the car up and only go through that one section until Elton Sawyer got involved and it was like, no, you fail at one, you got to go through all of them again. And somebody's got to sign off on it, Yeah. And then the guys were getting pissed because they were getting caught. But they would purposely set one thing up to fail and then go around, cheat the car up, fix that, and they come back to, oh, yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
That happens at local short tracks everywhere. That happens. You make sure you give them something. You have to give them something to catch.
Well, we appreciate it. Darnell, thanks for coming. I know y'all made a long trip down.
We did, but it was well worth it.
And thank you. I'm always following you on TikTok and Instagram and everything. It's really a big deal to see some of the stuff
You and all the other 20-year-old girls.
That's right. And you wouldn't believe, I'm big into the farmer TikTok. We get to enjoy that stuff, and so it's pretty neat to see everybody's platform.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty cool. All right, next week on our show, Mike Diaz is going to be with us. Steve Zacharias from Florence is going to be with us. They got their big race coming up on the 4th and the 5th down in Florence for the Icebreaker, $10,000 to win race. And we're also going to have Pat Summers with us next week. So we got a good show next week, too.
And we'll see if we can get him talked into
we're going to see if we can get talked into that.
That's
right. I'm going to tell him Willie Mullen said you're scared, don't even know him.
Hell yeah.
I mean, Peyton, and then you get Philip Morris. You got 2 national championships at a little backyard track.
Now we get Lee Pulliam in there.
Yeah.
We could have
a fight in the middle of the infield. Think about that.
And you could tell Lee Pulliam you're going to go deer hunting afterwards.
Yeah,
He might show up.
Yeah, you know about that.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks to Brayton for being with us and Blake, and really great to have them. And can't wait to see what they do at Daytona. Well, what Brayton does at Daytona.
Yep.
But anyway, thanks
Thank
a lot,
you
Willie.
guys. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks a lot, Willie.